Hey everyone, welcome back to Portal of Wisdom. I'm back with another story for you today. If you are new to the channel, like and subscribe and click that little post notification bell so you get alerted when I post new videos. And now on to today's topic. Today we are going to talk about the Black Hills Thoen Stone and whether it might be real or fake. And this is probably something pretty similar to if you know about the Kensington Stone and the Vikings Kensington Stone that was found in Minnesota, that there's a big debate on that. This Black Hills Thoen Stone is a similar type of situation. So in 1874, about 25 years or so after an expedition by General Custer confirmed that there was gold in the Black Hills of South Dakota, the gold rush was on. So a few years later, in 1887, there was a mysterious carved stone that turned up. And it was a sandstone piece that was about a foot square or so, and I believe it was said to be about 3 inches thick. And it was found by the brothers Ivan and Louis Thoen, and they were Norwegian immigrants, and so this stone became known as the Thoen Stone because it was the Thoen brothers who found it. And what was carved into or onto this stone is what throws the whole gold discovery timeline of the Black Hills into question. So the brothers were out collecting sandstone on Lookout Mountain in the Black Hills of South Dakota. And it was March 14th of 1887 when they were scouting around Lookout Mountain, I believe on the west side of Lookout Mountain near Spearfish, South Dakota. And one of them saw this piece of sandstone sticking out of the dirt, and it was mostly buried, but there was a kind of an inscription on there that caught their eye. And it was dirty and grimy, and the one little part that was sticking up that they could see and read that caught their attention was the words carved into it, "Indians hunting me." And so they found this kind of interesting or peculiar, and so they dug the stone up and they took it along with them with the other sandstone that they were grabbing. So the rest was difficult to decipher at the moment. So the brothers took the stone and they thought they would clean it up. And once they cleaned it up, it read, carved into it in cursive, it said, "Came to these hills in 1833, 7 of us, De La Comte, Ezra Kind, G.W. Wood, T. Brown, R. Kent, W.M. King, Indian Crow. All dead, but me, Ezra Kind, killed by IND, meaning Indians, I suppose. So killed by IND beyond the high hill, got our gold, June 1834. The back of it read, got all the gold we could carry, our ponies all got by the Indians. I have lost my gun and nothing to eat, and Indians hunting me." So that was the inscription that was on the stone once they had it cleaned up and could read it better. So the stone was amazing, and people immediately took sides on whether they believed it was authentic or if it was a fake meant to make money. People said it was too much of a coincidence that Louis Thoen was a stonemason, and he found, the stone, and that it was so legible once it was cleaned up. People thought this probably was not a sheer coincidence. So this led to some more research being done to determine if any of the named men could be traced. And in the 1950s, well after the brothers were dead, historian Frank Thompson did some extensive research and did determine that the group of men or that a group of men had left Independence, Missouri in the spring of 1833, intending to open a route through the west to Santa Fe. So, somewhere along the way, they met a member of the Crow tribe who told them about gold in the Black Hills. And of course, this caused them to change their plans and head toward the Black Hills. And the Crow Indian had told them about it, and it seems that he may have served as their guide or a helper. So Thompson was able to trace the men to the current modern day descendants, or at least some of them. And they did confirm that they had ancestors that had disappeared in the West around 1833. Kent's descendants also said that the family had received letters from him from the 1830s stating that he had all the gold he could ever want and would be returning home soon. Some even believe that the men may have stashed all of the gold that they could ever want in an unknown location in the Black Hills, awaiting their return to the east. So Thompson determined several of these members of the expedition had experience with placer mining and would not be out of place on a westward expedition, and some enticing with gold would definitely perk up their ears for sure. So during his research, it was determined that William King of the inscription was the son of Silas King of Georgia. And William King was experienced in placer mining himself. And T. Brown was traced to Missouri, and Indian Crow was thought to be either an Indian guide from the area or possibly even a native Cherokee from the same area as William King. Ezra Kind was believed to be the son of a German doctor. De la Comte is believed to be a man who married a native woman and previously survived an Indian attack near the Black Hills. He's believed to be the man that helped guide them to the Black Hills, since he was familiar with the area and had been there before, maybe multiple times before. And it's possible that he may have been a French trapper, as there were a lot of French trappers that ventured into those areas, and a lot of them did marry native women. So in the early 2000s, handwriting expert Marion Briggs did a study of the carved handwriting on the stone, as it was done in cursive, and he compared that to postcards with the Thoen brothers writing on them. And he determined that they were not done by the same person. He also compared the sandstone slab writing to Kashner and John McClintock, who were early professors to the authenticity of this stone, and he determined that it did not match them either. So the people in the beginning that were the most strong proponents of the authenticity of the stone, they have been eliminated as the potential writers, and since the stone was carved in cursive, I believe there were more of an ability to try to trace this or match up this writing, but none of the writing matched any of these known people that were early people that professed that this stone was found out there and it was authentic and it wasn't created in the 1880s. So there were also stories of some of the first prospectors to the Black Hills discovering rusted out picks and shovels and remains of a sluice box already in the Black Hills, as if a mining operation had already occurred here decades before. So they also found many more remains of a mining camp, and it could be that if this mining group was attacked near their camp, that they could have hidden their gold nearby as the natives came to attack them, or if they saw the natives approaching them, they may have hid their gold. Now, we don't know if this mining camp area is near Lookout Mountain or if Ezra Kind was lucky enough to escape the mining camp and make it to Lookout Mountain. And if he got to the mountain, and as it said, it is a lookout mountain where you can see in all directions. And if he looked in all directions and determined that he was surrounded, and he could have determined that he was probably not going to escape, and if so, he may have hid in a particular spot of the mountain, awaiting his eventual death from the American natives, or he could have awaited if he was going to escape the possible dehydration or starvation, since he was separated from the group. And if he could tell he most likely wasn't going to make it out alive, he may have found a rock or piece of sandstone and started carving into it to leave information about what happened to the group for someone to find later. As this point, he may have realized he was the last one alive and no one would know what had happened to them. So even if the natives didn't find him and they left the area and left him alone, he would have had pretty far to go without a horse and still would have been in hostile territory, making it near impossible for him to make it back to Missouri, and he may have known this. So that is the story of the Thoen Stone, Ezra Kind, and the possible discovery of gold in the Black Hills of South Dakota in 1833 or 1834. It's kind of a crazy story, but that is it.